All right, I am joined by Mr. Cloete.
Hi, Mr. Shepherd. How are you?
I'm good. So at least I got your surname right this time around.
Yes.
That's cool. So please introduce yourself and what you do.
So I'm Giovanni Cloete. I'm an attorney. I work for myself. I have my own legal practice. Our practice focuses on corporate and commercial transactional work, advising clients on the business strategy, the way they want to deal with a business profile in itself. Sometimes they don't know, sometimes they do. But we're there to guide them and help them.
Nice. It really sounds like a cool job to do.
It's interesting. Let me say it's interesting.
Sure.
It's very interesting.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
So what drew you into law?
To law, you know, when you need to submit on that application form what you're studying, you have two options. I only had one.
Okay.
I only put one down and I submitted and we all hope for the best. And then I got accepted into law and then started studying. What got me to where I am now into corporate and commercial space? Have you ever, as a kid, watched television and you see these top guys on television? They're always in the news, these business guys.
Okay, sure.
You just saw, remember you were small, so you just saw someone in a suit. That's all you saw on TV.
100%.
And in my mind, it was always, how will I get there? How would I get there? How would I get in a suit? Because a suit portrayed the image that I want to see myself. And through life, and then I started studying, worked at legal aid first.
So maybe before we get to your professional, I sort of want to start when you were studying, right? How was that like and what was your experience doing law?
Studying law wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Back in the day, we were still photocopying textbooks.
Oh, sure.
You know that period?
Sure. There's no PDF that you can find out.
You were still working on a floppy disk.
100%.
You remember that era?
No, I think you're just a bit older than me. But I think I was on the USB era, but yeah.
But look, also, you didn't have the funding for the textbooks.
Sure.
Those textbooks were quite expensive at that time.
Sure.
So we used to photocopy
100%.
the chapters that we needed to study. And studying law, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of long hours. You have to put in the time. You can decide whether you're going to sit in the cafe and play dominoes, which I did do. But also half the time I spent in the library as well.
100%.
For me, it took quite some time to grasp certain things. But once I have it, there's no stopping me. So my career or my studying career was a bit challenging. But eventually, I received my degree. And then things just started moving slowly from there.
Sure. So you get to start practicing now. I know when you do law, there's like many things that happens before you become an attorney, an advocate, and all those stuff, right?
Yes.
So please run us through your career now, like you were explaining earlier on. So where do you start and where are you now? You just explain that for us.
From where I started to where I am now, major transformation, eh?
Okay.
Major transformation.
Sure.
So I started my when I qualified, right? That was the period when I got my degree. Now we need to send applications in for articles. So you send in everywhere. And sometimes you don't get in, sometimes you do. And then luckily enough, I got accepted at legal aid, but I had to start the articles. Because that's just the path. Right? And then I did a lot of criminal law work, a lot of trials, a lot of consultation in cells, consultation at police stations. And then I was poached by a guy to join him in his practice.
Okay. So how was it there by legal aid?
Legal aid, very interesting.
Okay.
Completely different to the corporate world. Completely different.
So what was the most, let's say for example, what was the most challenging thing about working there? And is there any heartwarming story that you can sort of share with us of how you sort of defended a criminal?
What was it challenging? The challenges, I think it was, for me, was the workload per se. There was a lot of cases on the day of trial, for example, on the day that you must be in court, you have a lot of matters that you need to deal with. So you had to be smart also. So standing up early in the morning to prepare for the trials because you dealt with it. Not saying that they're all going to run that day, because often they never do. They started and then they postpone it. So that was a challenge. Also, the heartwarming was winning cases. Like, I recall this one matter I dealt with. The matter was also in the Sun also. And I was doing a bail
It
application.
was also in the
Sun.
was
The
it
newspaper.
Okay, sure.
You remember the Sun?
No, I don't know.
No, the Sun.
Is the Sun?
The Sun, yeah. It was a Sun newspaper.
No.
Sun English version, probably.
Okay, probably the English
You
version.
can snap that out there.
Okay.
So I had to do bail application for, it was a murder case, right? I got her out on bail, and that look that she gave of thank you, for me, that was priceless. That moment, you know that you were doing your job, you know. She was found not guilty eventually. But that moment that they just look at you and you, their sense of hope, and you succeed in that hope, that for me was good enough to say that
You're on the right track.
you are on the right journey.
It sounds so interesting. I just want you to get. I want to get into the law game, if I want to call it, right? Being a defendant and what is the word? Prosecutor. Do you sort of choose that in the beginning of your career, or sort of get thrown into?
So you can apply to the NPA, the National Prosecuting Authority, and you can work for the state. If you get in, you'll do, I think, pupillage. I'm not too certain, but you have to do a course as well with them, and then write the exams, I think. Legal aid, you shadow someone who will teach you the ropes. Obviously, you need to know the law. You need to do your own research.
Sure.
You need to read that case. You need to follow the chain of evidence as well if you're going to defend your client. So it's state, you, the defense, and then you battle it out in the courtroom.
Sure. Please go through your first court case where you were studying in the court. How was it? How was it? And did you win?
No. My first day I appeared, person that shadowed me was absent. So you had to run everything by yourself, and you nervous.
Sure.
I was nervous.
Okay.
Prosecutor saw he postponed all my matters because he could see.
Yeah, could see. Sure.
I was nervous. But also,
and then how is it like just being there for the first time? I mean, it is your dream. It's your dream, but like you're saying, it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. You're dealing with somebody's life in your hand at the end of the day, you know. So it gets overwhelming. So you do your best also, ask the right questions, but ultimately, it's for the magistrate to decide. Do you persuade him? Don't you persuade him? You know, is your argument strong? Is it not strong?
So were you a defendant as well?
Sorry, I was defendant. Yes, I was defense. I was never worked for the NPA. No.
Okay. So that means if you're a prosecutor, you have to be working for the NPA, the state.
Yes.
Okay.
So the prosecutor is the state. The defense is also the state, but you defending your clients. The prosecutor and the state is instituting that charge against your client. Oh,
makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So you finish your work at Legal Aid. Now you said I
was poached. I was supposed to come join a small law firm specializing in oil and gas. So that's when my oil and gas journey started. Did a lot of applications, rights permits in South Africa. I did that for a couple of years. Then I moved over to a bigger law firm, also focused on the oil and gas department. And then I left the bigger law firm, opened up another company, GMA Consultants, learned a couple of things there. Then I moved on, was involved with another.
So you opened it with a partner or?
No, I registered by myself. After I left the bigger law firm, I opened up my own company, GMA Consultants. Interesting. Did that for like a year, 2 years. Was involved in another company, a web designing company. But all these companies that I was involved with all taught me something, and I learned things from the people I encountered with, because that helped me start my legal practice, Giovanni Cloete and Associates.
Sure.
So everything that I've done, the interaction for the practice, very interesting.
So in the oil and gas,
yes.
If you were to compare it with the Legal Aid, how was it, and then what was the difference between the two?
So you're defending a client on the one hand. On the other hand, you're drafting papers. So you're drafting applications. You're drafting agreements. Completely different field.
Sure.
So on the one, it's criminal law. On the other side is corporate and commercial.
Okay.
Completely separate industries.
And then which one did you like the most?
I can't say because there were different challenges and different experience. So when I was running trials, I got that nervous feeling starting that trial, that butterflies. But then you get excited when you start asking the right questions. Because sometimes I try to put myself in the accused shoes for example, if it was housebreaking theft, asking the complainant certain questions of if they saw, if they didn't see. And I try to put myself in the position of the accused at that time, seeing how the building is structured. Could you see, couldn't you see? So you need to, not physically, but you need to put your mind there. Now, when drafting agreements also, you hear what your client needs. Now you must calculate the risks that your client might be associated with this transaction. So you need to cover that and you need to cover him in the agreement. So you're still busy playing with words. So in the one, you were playing in the courtroom. On the other hand, you're busy playing with words on papers. Make sure that your client is covered and that you get the agreement signed at the end of the day.
Sure.
So to answer your question, it's different, but you're still using your mind in a certain way. So it's kind of the same.
It's almost the same issue.
You get what I'm saying. So very interesting, I must say.
Okay. So what motivated you to start your own company now? The first one. What was the chain of events where you sort of like, okay, I want to start my own company now?
I resigned from the big law firm. I had a family at the time. I knew I had to do something. And that's where it started. Starting your own, like I had a company, got little work, and then I moved off to another company. And then I was involved in a mining supply company. So all of those things, I took something from it. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, you studied for a very long time. And through the years, I continued studying, right? Then your focus is, but you are an attorney. You're a lawyer. Go back to being a lawyer.
So that means what we were doing, it was not necessarily law-based.
Not law-based per se.
Okay.
Doing bit of agreements, but finding your feet also. I don't want to, let me use the word, you need to discover yourself. So I went to the point where I had to discover myself.
Oh, sure.
And then...
So you sort of realized that what we were doing, it was not working for you. You was go back to law.
Let's say, I'm not going to say not working for me, because all of those things were stepping stones to opening up the legal practice. Like some of those companies are still there. Right? But ultimately, I made a decision that, listen, open up the legal practice. And help from one of my clients. Because my client told me, Giovanni, if you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? So I'm like, okay. So I did my legal practice.
Sure.
And then the doors slowly started opening. And then the challenges started coming also. Because nothing is going to come to you on a silver platter.
Okay.
So with when I opened up the legal practice, I started over, yes, but I started with the experience as well.
So this is after you've closed down GMA?
GMA Consultants, yes. GMA Consultants is still registered.
Oh, still there?
It's still there, but I'm not.
But now you just had to start over
I started with Giovanni Cloete and Associates.
Okay.
Only focusing on it, the legal practice.
Okay. And then how is it now?
How is it now? Very interesting.
Okay.
Shepherd, very, very interesting. When I started it, I didn't know what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing. I figured it out.
Talking about not knowing what you're doing it's unfortunately some sort of the school fees that each and every entrepreneur has to go through.
You have to because that's where you learn. That's where you teach something different about yourself. And then you realize also, when you're starting this from over, you look at all the other projects prior to you that you've been involved in, and you see how the big circle comes together. So the company that I was involved in also we did web design, marketing, advertising.
Sure.
So I learned the skill over there from a business partner that I implemented in my legal practice. I did my own marketing, my own advertising.
100%.
Because you're doing it from scratch. So learn the trade. Teach yourself what you don't know, for example.
100%.
So there's a lot of things I taught myself. I didn't know. You go research. I mean, Google's there. Google has everything.
Sure.
You must never say you don't know anything. Ask Google.
I mean, worst case now, we even have ChatGPT.
Ask, but with
Gives you all
ChatGPT,
that.
look, you must always, if you're going to utilize that app, you must always just double check,
Sure.
triple check, quadruple
100%.
check. You know, AI makes everything easier also. But go double check the work.
100%.
Don't just rely on it. You know, go do your research. So as an attorney, you must always be doing research. You must stay up with trends also if you see your client in that industry, for example. So to you ask you a question, how is it now? Right now, very interesting. It's I don't want to use the word crazy, man, but the different doors that's opening now, I would never expect myself to be in it.
Okay.
If you had to ask me 5 years ago.
Sure.
Never.
So what are the valuable lessons that you can share with me and the guest and the listeners who are listening? Like those first things, the first do's and don'ts when you're opening your own practice, so that at least you can help someone who wants to actually move out from big corporate.
Have clients before you open your practice.
Okay.
A lot of people say have your clients. Have clients that will help you a lot also. And ask for guidance. But at the end of the day, put in the work.
How does
that time?
Sure. How does have clients work? Do you sort of work with people that knew you from the company that you were working for, or
I've got clients from 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that we're working on projects together now. So one of the things when you're starting a business venture or practice is patience. It's patience. As much as you think, oh no, it's not going to work out, relax a little bit. Just be patient. Put it out there and it will come back.
Sure.
So there are, from a couple of years ago, I am in contact with certain clients, but I am working with a client from a few years ago, and then a lot of new clients I got over the years.
Sure.
A lot of new clients with different projects. And you find yourself, I found myself doing totally different work to what I was doing prior when I was just in the oil and gas space. So I know the oil and gas industry, right? And now I've learned also corporate and commercial industry, for example, the taxi industry, mining projects also. So you're learning new things also you didn't know. Because nobody's feeding it to you. So you go research and you get your own clients. That's the beauty of it. Yes, it takes time, and yes, it's a lot of conversation, and yes, it's a lot of meetings. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. Or it should be worth it. But don't throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel.
Don't throw in the towel, yeah.
As much as it's hard, you're already this far. You're already this far.
Sure.
Just push further. That's all you must do. Just push further.
Just push further. Now, I like that. I really like that. So let's get into... I like that. So let's just get into just you explaining what law is in your own words.
What is law in my own words?
Yeah, I mean, it is law, attorney. Now, this question is becoming more tricky now.
Because, it's a very tricky word because it's a definition.
It's a definition,
of law
yes.
in the dictionary. So
what
makes you an attorney?
Yeah, what makes you an attorney? Like, can you please explain what law is to someone who's listening to this, so that at least when they listen to this podcast, they'll say, okay, I want to be a lawyer. This is what it means.
A law?
A lawyer.
Let me put it in my own words. Let me not say the definition of law. Let me rather say what I do in terms of an attorney.
Sure.
So a client gives me an instruction. A client doesn't know what to do. He just says, this is the project I have. And that's it. Okay. So now I come in, do you have this and this agreements in place with your business partners? No. Are you covered with this aspects? No. So now I come into place and I start advising, okay, listen, we need to tailor this document to protect you. You going into this venture with that business partner, have this agreement in place so that we know, for example, whose intellectual property it is. Because you bringing that to the project. You know what your business partner is bringing to the project, so that there is no argument about who's doing what in terms of the project. Normally we'll get, for example, let me use, for example, a membership agreement. So you're running a gym and you're always fighting for payments.
Okay.
If you have a signed agreement with your members, it's right there. You refer to the clause that they signed. So they're bound by those terms and conditions.
100%.
So you feel a bit comfortable. Hence why, for example, you might have to have an indemnity as well to protect yourself if anything happens. So those are the things that I would do to cover my clients also, drafting those agreements. It all depends on the circumstances, what jurisdiction you're working in also, and also what your business project is about.
Oh, interesting.
But again, if you ask a practicing lawyer who's in court, he'll give you a different response.
A different response, yeah, sure.
To be looking at the evidence at hand, protecting your client, and seeing if the work is done properly. They might have a completely different view, opinion of what I said because it's different structure. But for me personally, what I do, I make sure that I protect my clients when they transact. And I always advise my clients also, let us be at the beginning of the project as opposed to in the middle. And there's already a bit of trouble.
Sure.
Let's protect you now already before we get there. And we're not 9 to 5 guys. We're not 9 to 5 guys.
What does that mean?
We work all hours. We work all hours.
Sure.
If my client has a project and he needs an agreement tailored, and he's like, Giovanni, can you prepare this for me? So what's the turnaround time? Oh, man, I needed it yesterday. Oh, really?
So that means no sleeping for you.
Then I say, let's get to work.
Sure.
Let's get to work. Then I'll work through the night if I must. That's how I was taught. That's how I was taught.
Interesting. I think with that said, right?
Put in the time.
Put in the
time. You will reward. You will be rewarded. You will reap those benefits.
Sure.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight.
Sure.
It's a journey. It's not a race. It's a journey. I mean, I think also us as entrepreneurs, if we choose this life, we shouldn't think it's a race. You're just going to tire yourself out. Yes, doing the work. Yes, putting the time. Yes, it makes you tired. Yes. But it's a journey. While you're on this journey, you might as well enjoy it.
Sure.
You might as well enjoy it.
100%.
So if you think about it, it's not a race. It's a journey, man. Just enjoy the ride.
Sure.
It comes with a lot of uphills, downhills, uphills, downhills. It's like an algorithm. You get your highs, you get your lows, you get your highs, you get your lows. And when it's quiet and when it's in your lows, focus on yourself. Focus on yourself.
Okay. Now, I think you sort of just tapped into the question that I wanted to ask next, which is, please advise a young attorney out there. But I think you've sort of covered it. But if there's anything that you can sort of add on top of that.
You know, for a young attorney going into the field, and it's like you need to make a name for yourself. Put the time in. Say yes. Who can do this? Yes, I'll do it. I'll learn.
Sure.
And teach yourself also. Read up about things. And keep on learning. Don't stop learning. Don't stop reading also. Be knowledgeable. Because you need to advise your clients on things they don't know. So if you know you have a potential client or your director is going off into a meeting, read up on that client. Study that client's business. Look what projects the client is involved so that you can add value at the end of the day. Become an asset to the client. Add value. Don't go home and sleep. Read.
Sure.
Read. Push yourself. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life. Push yourself, man.
Sure.
Read. Study further. Gain more knowledge, but also gain experience also. Listen and learn from mentors. If you have. But put the work in. Put the time in.
Let's put the time in.
Put the time in. Because the only thing we have is time.
Sure.
A lot of people say, yes, we don't have time. No, you have time. You can control your time. You decide what you waste your time on and what you decide what you do with your time also. At the end of the day. And it's okay to take breaks.
Sure. No, I like that. I really like that. I just want to go through this the rest of the questions here. I think we sort of went through almost all the questions, and in closing, please tell me what has been the recurring theme in your career, and what have you learned from it?
What do you mean the recurring theme?
So, is there anything that you can say that this has been I've always found favor wherever I go, or maybe resilience, something like that? A recurring theme in your career, which you found something that you learned from it?
What I learned from a recurring thing. Oh, something that you need to keep doing. Put in the time.
Okay.
Put in the time and put in the work. That's it. If you want to get somewhere, you want to be somewhere, put in the time. That's it. That's for me. If you have the work, do it. So if my client has something, I'm going to do that work now. So I'm going to push it out tonight or tomorrow. So that I know it's off my desk. Because the client will see value in that also. You will see that, okay, I can phone my attorney now. He's going to answer. He can help me with this project. If I say drop him a message, he might not respond now, but he will respond soon.
Sure.
Because he sees the value in the project.
100%.
So for me, that recurring thing is time. Put in the time. You have to. And discipline as well. Discipline.
Wow.
So let me say this. The principles I live by is discipline, right? Commitment. If you commit to the work, do the work. And be disciplined. Know that, okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to finish it.
Sure. Let's move closer.
And consistency. Doing something over and over and over. And if you're doing something bad over and at least you got consistency. Fix it up.
Sure.
But be consistent in your work. And be punctual. And always remember, presentation is key. How you present yourself, say a lot about you.
Wow, that's so interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Cloete.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
This was really nice. I think you brought a different feel to the podcast, and that's what I want. And all the best. Oh yeah, before we get to the all the best part, this is what I was just thinking. Please plug in your work. Explain what you do. Where can they find you? So that
what do I do? I'm an attorney.
All the corporate.
I have my own legal practice.
Sure.
You can find me on social media also. It is Giovanni Cloete and Associates Facebook page, our LinkedIn page. They're busy with our website. It's www.gcainc.co.za. And if anybody wants to contact us for legal work, they're all more than welcome. Giovanni at gcainc.co.za. Did I say it right? gcainc.co.za.
Awesome.
I don't think I'll give my telephone number over.
Not yet.
No
worries. Thank you very much, Mr. Cloete. It was really, really nice.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. I hope it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. So I think maybe I can just say this after the podcast. But thank you so much. Keep well. And I think it's part of the motto of our podcast, which we wish the best for you. You may more doors, bigger doors open for you. It's part of our motto, because everyone who comes here, we want them to have a positive impact and also grow. And we know when we say grow, we mean the money. So when the money comes through.
And yes, and you say the money, and people might criticize me for this, but don't focus on the money. Focus on the work.
Focus on the work.
The money will come.
Sure.
It might take some time, but focus on the work so that you become great at what you're doing.
100%.
Because put the time in.
So you're already working. We just want the money to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
We want the money to come, because if you're here, you're already working. Bigger doors must come through, and bigger opportunities must come through. So that's what we want for you, and that's what we wish for you.
I wish that for you too, because your podcast is a success already, and it's just going to keep growing.
Thank you so much.
We will break down those doors.
I guess you'll be my corporate lawyer.
I welcome that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Keep well.
You too, Shepherd.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I appreciate you taking time and tuning in and be part of our community. We get to share ideas, stories, and perspectives through this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found something valuable in it. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your family and friends. I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Until then, take care. This is DLA Podcast signing out. See you next time.